Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 561 of Screw the Commute podcast. Today we're going to talk about business legalities. Now, I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm not qualified to do so. But you can be sure that I've been through many legal situations, and I certainly have opinions and stories of how things played out. So I consider myself highly qualified to give you my opinion. Okay. Now, I hope you didn't miss episode 560. That was Joe Libby. He actually did a magic trick on an audio-only podcast. Right, so it's very cool, and he talks about the business of magic and how much fun it is and so forth. And he actually, I teased that Arnold Schwarzenegger actually opened for him at an event in Australia. All right, so check that out, episode 560. Anytime you want to get to a back episode, you go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number, that was 560. I'm sure you'll want to refer back to this one, 561, because of all the issues with business and legal stuff. So there you go. All right. Now we've got this great program going to help persons with disabilities get scholarships in internet and digital marketing. So you can be really proud to be part of this program by contributing to their scholarships. And we have 3 people in the program right now, and 2 of them are blind. so man, they're shooting videos and stuff. Just amazing what they're doing. So I'm really proud of the program. So check it out at imtcva.org/disabilities. And then you can click on the GoFundMe campaign and actually see their videos of people that are blind. Amazing, amazing, amazing. All right, let's get to the main event, business legalities. Now, I don't mean to scare you here. Many times small business owners and people who work from home or remotely won't even face some of the issues that I bring up today. I just want you to know about them and determine if they apply to your business. This is way better than not knowing about the issue and accidentally violating some law that you never even heard of. Now, this is by no means a fully comprehensive list. My purpose today is to get you thinking before making quick decisions that may have unintended consequences. And they're in all these things I bring up are in no particular order. Now, before we get into it, make sure you pick up a copy of our automation ebook. It saved me millions of keystrokes and allows me to work lightning fast, saves me tons of work. I mean, many, many hours a week. So pick up a copy at screwthecommute.com/automate free, screwthecommute.com/automate free. And while you're at it, pick up a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP, where you can put us on your cell phone and tablet and take us with you on the road. All right, let's get into some of these things. First of all is zoning. I mean, can you do the type of business you want to do in the place you want to do it? And even in big cities, there's way different zonings in different parts of the city. For instance, in certain parts of Virginia Beach, you can have chickens. Right? And in certain parts you can't. I'm not allowed to have chickens in my yard, right, in this part of Virginia Beach. So you got to see, what do I want to do? And this comes up when you're talking about dog training. I had dog training friends that they were allowed to have 5 dogs on the property at any one time. More than that, they were violating some zoning law. See, so you got to check to see if what you want to do, you can do. Some places you got to have a sprinkler system involved to get your business license. So business license is another thing you need to get. And so basically they're pretty easy to get, but you might be subject to an inspection. Sorry, my throat's a little rough today, folks. Been doing a lot of work outside. So business license, whatever, all you got to do is type Google business license and then your city, and it'll tell you, okay, you got to pay $15 and come down to the courthouse or something. But depending on your type of business, they might have an inspector come out. And that's where, if it's a retail business, you probably have to have exit signs and a sprinkler system and ADA compliant bathrooms and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you're thinking about retail, which I do not think about anymore, okay, you have to check that stuff. Now you got to think about what's your legal entity. Are you a sole proprietor? Are you a corporation, LLC? And even corporations have S and C corporations. So this is something for an accountant or a highly skilled bookkeeper to advise you on, depending on your financial situation. You might want to have insurance, or you might need insurance for certain types of business. I think it's a good idea to have insurance, no matter what type of business you're in, because people look at you like, oh, money bags, will sue you. Even if you're just writing books, you got errors and omissions insurance. In case somebody says, oh, you said something in the book and I got my leg cut off because of it. Yeah, that's tough legally for them to prove, but the thing is you still have to defend yourself in court, which costs a fortune, so you might want to have insurance for all kinds of stuff. And sometimes you're required to have insurance, like for instance, driving a car. So many states, you have to have insurance. If not, you're in violation of the law, and especially if you take that a step higher in business. And you might have, maybe you're zoned for a certain thing, but you still may have restrictions on how much noise you can produce, how much traffic. I mean, even if you're selling Mary Kay and you had cars coming in and out of your house all day long, well, that might be violating some local ordinance, so you got to check on all this stuff. Now, certifications, medical, legal. I know a lot of health people have to watch that they don't cross the line into giving medical advice. And again, like I said, with here, I'm not giving legal advice. I'm just telling you areas that you need to look into for whatever business you're in. So certifications are important thing. Now, copyright. Now, where it affects a lot of the people that do the business I do is they use some kind of graphic or photo that's copyrighted. And you can't trust Google Images to say, oh, this is okay for commercial use. There's stuff tied to Bing and PowerPoint that says, oh, it's okay. No, you can't trust it. And there are companies that their whole business model is designed to locate. They can locate these pictures electronically, and then they sue you for copyright infringement, like $250,000 per occurrence. Okay, so, and then they settle out of court with you for $4,000 to $6,000, $7,000, knowing that if they go for $250,000, you'll just go bankrupt and they'll get nothing. So they just make it high enough to scare the heck out of you, and where you could come up with the money. So you got to be extremely careful with that. Now you got issues of trademarks, and people ask me all the time, should I trademark something? Well, the first question I ask them back is, can you afford to defend the trademark? Now, it's getting cheaper to trademark stuff than when I first did it years ago. But the thing is big companies, there's many scumbag big companies that will just violate your trademark knowing you can't afford to defend it. They'll just steal your intellectual property. Very common. So it's not a bad idea to trademark something, but can you defend it? That's the question. Now, here's another thing for a lot of us that sell ebooks and books and everything, pre-publication sales. I mean, this would apply to anything that you're selling where people have to wait for it to actually be created before they get it. Well, the rule is, as far as I've been living by, and I forget what legal entity I saw this in a long time ago, is that if you can't produce the product at the time you promised them, so let's just say, hey, I'll give you half price on this new book of mine if you can wait 5 weeks for delivery. Well, when that 5-week mark comes up, if you can't deliver at that time, you're by law required to contact the person that purchased and give them a chance for a refund, or ask them if they're willing to extend the time before delivery. then you're cool. But if you just ignore the deadline and don't ship it for 10 weeks, well, you've violated a law, and people will probably start complaining at 5 weeks. All right, you have the Can Spam Act. This is UCE, or unsolicited commercial email. You need to know all about that. I get so many people that say, oh, I got this directory of accountants and I'm going to type it all in and email them all. All right, good. You're a spammer. I don't care if you're in the association, you're still a spammer. So you must comply with that. That's in the Can Spam as the US, but Canada has one. Europe has a different one, so you got to be careful with that. Contracts. Yeah, contracts are legally binding instruments, and you can write them yourself. I've written plenty of them myself. That doesn't mean I did the best job in the world. Okay, I saved legal fees, but doesn't mean I knew exactly what I was doing. I got a lot of experience with it. Now, I couldn't write one for you. That'd be, I believe, given legal services. So, but, I've shown people examples of ones that I wrote and say, hey, use it at your own risk. I'm not vouching for it. And you have to be careful that you don't violate some law from where the contract is written. It could be different states have different laws. And, you got arbitration clauses that can be put in. You have consideration, which is money or goods and services changing hands and all those things. So, yeah, you can do it, but you better have some experience knowing to cover yourself and be, I like to be fair with both parties, but you do have to cover yourself. But that's contract and contract law. Now, here's another biggie, employment law. You got hiring and firing issues. You got interviewing. You have to be careful in interviews what you say and what you don't say, and that everything is fair and non-discriminatory. Then you have firing laws, and sometimes I think it applies to different numbers of employees, the different laws, so you got to pay attention to that. Then another thing that's happened a lot is that people say, well, I don't want to pay any employment taxes, so everybody that I hire is going to be a contractor. Well, yeah, until the state says that they aren't, and then they hit you up for all these back payroll taxes. They're never going to hit the contractor or the employee up. They're going to come after you, and it could be enormous amounts of money. And luckily, I'm a kind of a pack rat, and back when I was in Maryland, I had 35 different contractors working for me in my entertainment company. And some snooty butt lady from the state came in and tried to hit me up and say that they were all employees. Well, thank God I had all these magazines saved up for I was doing another project. And so for several years, I saved the Washingtonian magazine. And virtually all the people that were working for me as a contractor were advertising themselves in the back of Washingtonian magazine. When I showed that to her, she got all mad and left, because that was clear proof that these people were in business and just doing jobs for me on a contract basis. But there's loads of little details of calling somebody a contractor or not that you need to know about, because if you try to pull it off and all these states are getting mercenary and trying to come and get more money out of you, then you could be hit with enormous back payroll taxes, or have to get a lawyer to defend it in state court, and so all kinds of stuff. All right, and along with employment, I think this was an Army captain that gave a speech, an after-dinner speech. This was in the news several years ago, and he had to resign because he told a couple off-color jokes, and some of the females in the crowd complained that it was sexual harassment. So you got to really watch that. I mean, you've got high levels of sensitivities nowadays compared to the old days. And whether that's good or bad, I'm not going to make any comment on. It's just the fact that it's there, and you have to protect yourself legally. So you got to be extremely careful what you say. And I know some businesses have a different culture than others. I mean, I know places that were landscaping companies, and all they did was tell dirty jokes all day long and everything. They survived just fine. But you hire the wrong person that makes a complaint, it can change your whole life, the whole culture of your business overnight. So you just got to be darn careful. Then you got issues. I'm still on employment stuff, drug testing, wrongful termination, discrimination. All these kinds of things are things that could affect you legally, and you need to know what you're doing if you're the business owner. Okay, another topic is boards of directors versus advisory boards. See, a board of directors is a legal entity, and they can be held legally liable for decisions made by the board, where advisory boards don't. So you want to look into what are the differences. Do I need a board of directors? Do I need an advisory board? Should I pay them? What's the contract? Are they going to require errors and omissions insurance to be on the board? So these can be very, very important to your business for business advice from people that are substantial, but there's legal aspects to it. So you need to know them. Board of directors versus advisory boards. All right, and then products. You got product disclaimers. So does your product have any chance of hurting somebody, or is it an ingestible where I know a lot of people want to be an affiliate for supplements and things. Well, that scares me because, as soon as somebody gets some heavy metal contamination because the ingredients came from overseas, this is another trick they pull, is all the ingredients came from overseas, and then it's bottled in the United States, and then it says made in the USA. Well, that's just totally disingenuous. All the ingredients came from overseas where there's much more lax control. So I'm very afraid when somebody ingests something that you could be liable, because they're going to sue everybody if something really bad happens to them. So that's product disclaimers. Affiliate disclosures. Nowadays, you have to disclose if you were promoting a product as an affiliate. Where in the old days, you didn't. You just told how great it was and you got a commission behind the scenes. But now you got to tell people. Let's see. And then some things are just stupid. All right. I can't help it. They're just stupid. Like testimonials, I don't know how many years, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I think the Federal Trade Commission came out and said, your testimonial can only be the average results of all your clients. I'm thinking to myself, you can't regulate the relatively small infomercial industry, and now you want to take on the entire internet? It's just stupid. There has been zero change that I can see, and all I do is look at ads and do this 7 days a week for the last 28 years. I haven't seen any changes in testimonials or anything. I imagine if you're some super big company, they could go after you because you're deep pockets, but I haven't seen any changes in testimonials. But that is the deal. That's what it's supposed to be. I don't know how anybody could ever figure out the average results of all their customers. But anyway, that's something to pay attention to. I mean, on testimonials, you shouldn't overstate things and see, a lot of people will give you a testimonial just to get a link back to their website. So you don't want them hyping things over the top of the moon, saying how great you are, and there's no proof of it, and they're just lying to get in so that you'll put them up there and give them a link back to their stuff. Let's see. And that's part of truth in advertising. Also truth in lending. If you do finance for your customers, you got to disclose if there's any interest charges, how much the whole thing will cost. I have no idea because I just do zero interest and I just split the payments up to whatever the total is. That's it. Now, I do give cash discounts if they pay all at once to save me the hassles, but I don't want to be a financial institution because there's probably a zillion laws that I wouldn't even know about. So you got to be careful with truth in advertising and truth in lending. Then you got libel versus slander things. Like libel is a defamatory statement. I mean, both of these are defamatory statements. Libel is written and slander is oral. And the thing is, if you're telling the truth, that's your best defense, but you better be able to prove it in court that you're telling the truth. And this is a very touchy area of law. I mean, I've come out very publicly against some people, and they threatened me. They got the biggest shot lawyers in Los Angeles that defend all the worthless celebrities and just scumbags, basically. But I triple dared them to sue me because I had this massive evidence file, and which would have gone public had they sued me. So they just disappeared under the rocks and went home. pieces of crap. But anyway, you better have the darn proof in court. And like I said, this is a touchy area of law, but I'll tell you what, that Kyle Rittenhouse kid is going to be wildly rich. I predict this because, and I don't care what you think about what happened there when he, shot those people. It makes no difference. Well, we're just talking about the legal aspects of this. So there's still people on TV calling him a murderer after he's been cleared by a court of law with a jury trial that he's not. All right. And whether you think he is, even though he's cleared, does not matter. It matters legally that he's not. And all these celebrities are making all this noise and all these pieces of garbage people just to get their 15 minutes of fame on TV. He's coming after all of them. All of them. He started some kind of foundation or something to go after all of them and to help other people that have been defamed. And it kind of reminds me of that kid that was standing on the DC Mall, and they just tore him up like he was smirking and doing something to a Native American. And that was all BS, and that boy is rich now. All right, he settled with going after the media networks because he had them dead to rights. There was all made up stories, and they knew it. That's the thing. I mean, making a mistake is one thing, but when you know something's untrue and you promote it, boy, you're asking for trouble. So what's this mean to you? That means don't rag on your competitors unless you can prove stuff, definitely in a court of law, because all they have, because you think you might be getting a competitive advantage, but you might eat up the whole competitive advantages and legal fees if they sue you for libel or slander. See? So these are just, this is not a comprehensive list, but hopefully you'll have thought, okay, how does this apply to me in my business? I better do this. I better do that. I better check this. I better check that. A lot of times you can just look up the laws on Google. And so a lot of times an attorney will take the actual legal writing of the laws and give you a breakdown of what it means to you in regular, normal language. So you might look for those kinds of things. Well, another thing was contests. You got a lot of companies want to throw contests. It's an enormous amount of contest law involved. So you need to know that you don't accidentally become a lottery and the feds show up at your door. Okay. I'm all for doing these things and being proactive in business as long as you know the potential downside of what you're doing and take steps to protect yourself. That's what I'm saying. All right, so that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Hey, give us a hand over there on that scholarship program for the persons with disabilities. Hey, if you want high-level training like I've been providing for over 25 years, then check my mentor program out at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. It's the most unique, longest running, most successful program of its kind anywhere ever. And I triple dog dare anybody to put their program up against mine line for line. Nobody will do it. All right. So check it out, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. And we'll catch you all on the next episode. See you later.